Hello, everybody.
And we're live.
Hey, we are. Hi, Brent. How are you?
I'm okay this morning.
You're doing okay? I heard you got the head cold.
I did. I'm almost over it. So. Yeah, that was fun. So.
I think somehow it made it from Idaho over to here. The wind is howling, like 65-mile-an-hour winds. And all night I heard it howling and my head felt like it was going to explode. It was just so, you know how the wind is.
I do. Yep. We got I don't know, about 5 inches of snow that we were cleaning up yesterday. But yeah, I got some kind of head cold. So that was fun.
You can keep the snow. We had 70 degrees yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Where are we
today, but it was.
We're 25.
Okay.
That's all right. It's winter here. So.
It is. I know. And it's winter here too. That's why we were shocked in January. It was 70 degrees. But, we like those little occasional days. So.
Yep. Oh, so I've got to tell you, you know how we talked about resolutions last week?
Oh, yes.
I decided I just don't do resolutions. I'm terrible at them. But I do remember the year I turned 50, I made a promise to myself that I would be fit in my 50s. Well, I turned 59 this summer, so I got to get after it. So, I'm going to do some habit changing.
My New Year's resolution is to lose 10 pounds, only 20 to go.
Yep. So, all righty, I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, we're ready to work. Hey, everybody, so glad you're here. And Brenda and I always like to give everyone a chance to get on live before we get started. I've got two really fantastic cards for you today because they are 10-minute cards. Maybe 15, but really they're very quick cards. And I'm going to be creating them as sympathy cards. Sadly, that seems to be the one thing that we need the most of these days, sympathy card. Yeah, that's the one part about getting older that's not fun. It seems like you need more sympathy cards than usual, but I love to have these on hand. And also these cards are going to be great if you leave the sentiment off and you can just create it. And when you're ready and you know what you need, you can put a sentiment on there. If you hear that dinging, my dog has a bell that he can ring when he wants to go outside. He's getting very adamant, but he's just going to have to live with it. This is what he does. He also does it just to get my attention. So I think he wants to say hello to everyone. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to head over here to my stamping table. And as always, you guys, I've got a free download. Look at this one. Short, sweet, simple. I know you love that. We're going to create these quick sympathy cards. He is ringing that bell like crazy. He's getting mad at me. Mom, let me outside. I don't know. Can you hear it, Brenda? Can you even hear it? Oh, okay. You can't. Well, he's ringing like crazy. All right. So here on your free download today, you're going to have all the supplies and the measurements so you can create the cards. You're also going to have a click link here where you can go to order any of the supplies you need. Guys, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And if you need a quick refresher, maybe checking out which dies I use, things like that, you can click or scan and you can come back to this video and watch it again later. Because like I said, we got lots of kind of little parts and pieces, but look at that short and sweet supply list. So let me share with you the cards that we're going to create. I mean, look at these. They are gorgeous. They are delicate, perfect for a sympathy card. Can you see how my detailed die is raised? I think that's what makes this card so special. It's not just squished onto the card, but we get that great highlight. This one I did with all very vanilla thick cardstock. And this one, I don't know if you can really tell. You can tell more in person. I did this with vellum. And I just think it really turned out pretty. So we're going to create these cards. I've got tips and tricks for each one. We're going to start with this one here. Again, just a simple sympathy card. But like I said at the beginning, you could leave this sentiment off and then add whatever sentiment you need later. We don't need a lot of supplies. I'm going to tell you, it took one sheet of 8.5 by 11. Okay, just one sheet of 8.5 by 11. Cut it in half at 5.5. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. These are 2 equal pieces, 4 1/4 by 5.5. All right, that's really all we need. Now, I'm bringing in a little extra piece of Very Vanilla. This is optional because you're actually going to have a piece that's going to cut out. but it's a decorative piece. So I decided to bring in something a little extra, but you don't need this because when we cut, you're going to have it. All right. So let's go ahead. I want to talk first about the dies that we're going to need for this card. Now, any of these larger detail dies are going to work, and there's lots of them out there. This one I'm going to use here is the two-tone flora. But guys, you could also use potted succulents, and I'm going to show you that card in a minute. Grove, organic beauty, artisan additions. I've got a card for that too. So any of those, and you know, there might be more. You might look through some that have retired, but any of these great big dies are going to be perfect for this. And if you're like me, sometimes you struggle. They're big. What do I want to do with them? We're going to tackle that today. You're also going to need some kind of shape die. These are the stitched rectangles, but here in a minute, we're going to use a couple more. You can also use the deckled rectangles, or you can use the fabulous frames. Any of those are going to work. So yeah, feel free to kind of look through your supplies, but we're going to need a frame set for this. So we're going to use stitched rectangles on this one. And my stamp set that I'm going to be using is Peaceful Moments. And I've got the With Deepest Sympathy. And I've got a tip to share with you, a really great cutting trick for this stamp set. So let's go ahead and start. This is the brand new die two-tone flora. And I'm going to be bringing in my die cutting machine. And so let me kind of get this open and out of the way. And I'm going to get cutting or base plate 1, adapter 2, and 2 cutting plate 3s. All right. So we are going to take that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we're just going to center that die. Well, you don't have to get centered. It's going to cut this completely out, but we're going to lay that right here on our die cutting machine, and we're going to run that through. I am going to attempt to read more comments today while I run things through. Ramona says, I love the detailed and stitched dies. I'm so glad. I do too. Now, I want to tell you something. Whenever I do these detailed dies, I do like to run it through my machine a few times. You know, there's just lots of little cuts going on there. So I want to make sure I've got all of those little pieces cut out. Now, I have to warn you guys, it's a messy one because we've got lots of little pieces, okay? Lots of little pieces that are going to come out of this. I'm going to have a mess on my hands. The dog's probably going to come up and try to grab these because I only have one choice, and that is to throw it on my floor and vacuum it up later. Because when you're live, you don't have time to do anything else. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool brush, and I'm just going to run this all along my detailed dies. Guys, this is probably the longest part of doing this project. It's just getting all those little pieces out. There's lots of them, okay? And I'll tell you what, I want to go ahead and point this out as well. Do you see that my die has a lot of these left over in it too? Oh, he's ringing that bell like crazy. I'm just going to tap all of those out. See that? And it usually gets all of them out. I've got just a few, but you do want to make sure that your die is completely clear of all those little pieces before you use it again, because otherwise it won't cut things out. And I think, yep, oh, nope, just a couple more. But yeah, you can just use your Take Your Pick brush on the die. Boom. This die is ready to go again. Let me clean up my mess. I'm telling you, when I was just designing these cards, my poor floor was just covered in these. But you know, crafting's not neat, is it? Now, because I love you guys so very much, I went ahead and got all those little pieces cut out for you. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do another cutout. Okay? So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I am now going to bring in, let me move some things out of my way, because now we're going to bring in the stitched rectangles. Got to get creative with these too. This is where you might need to come back, either jot down some notes or come back and watch the video. This is that remaining piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Also, make sure all of those little pieces are off of your cutting plate because it's going to emboss on there if we're not careful. All right, first things first. We're going to take, I gotta check myself here, guys. Yes, it is the largest rectangle. Okay, so basically the one that will fit well, it's the largest one. You can't get any bigger than that. We're then going to skip one, and I'm going to set that off to the side because I'm going to use it in a minute. And then I'm going to take the next one. So that'll give us that kind of bigger frame. So if your frame is looking really tight, you've got the wrong one. Remember, we're setting this one off to the side because we're going to use it here in just a minute. So I'm going to line those up and I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. So let me bring this back in and we will die cut this. And I got to tell you, we're going to get this in here. And this is where we're going to go and center it up. Let's see. Kathleen's here from Washington. So glad you're here today, Kathleen. I hope you're crafting right along with me, making some Make Ahead Sympathy cards. I think these would make really pretty wedding cards done in, well, in the vanilla. I think it's really pretty as well. All right. Can you see how I've got that lined up? I'm going to place my cutting plate on top and let's run this through. Oh, it's a tight one. And don't you love how it shakes my camera? All right. So we now have, this is trash, but this is our frame. This piece that's left over, that's where I said you could use this or you could just cut yourself a little scrap because can you see the stitched edge? I think I want to save that for a better card. So I brought in a scrap, but you can use this leftover piece. Okay, so these are the two dies that I just used. I'm going to set these back. Remember that one that I set off to the side? Okay, this is where I took, and bear with me because I did already cut it, just trying to save some time. I took this completed piece. I can actually show you here, even though all the pieces aren't out of it. And do you see what I'm doing? I'm placing that right there on top of that die. You can decide where you want this to go. Do you want more of that bigger flower, less? It can go anywhere in this die. We just want to avoid those edges. So I ran that through my machine. So now this is trash, all right? Let me move this out of my way so you can kind of see this great design that we have. I'm going to bring in that frame, and this is where it gets cool. I want to make sure I get the right side up. I'm going to place this right inside my frame. Look at that. Gorgeous, right? Now, several different ways that we can do this, but I'm going to be using Stampin' Dimensionals for mine. Now, I got to tell you, you guys have heard me talk about Stampin' Dimensional bones. We use them quite a bit, and that's when you have the leftovers of your Stampin' Dimensionals. We can cut these apart, and we can use these, and it's great. Great on this card. Now, if you don't have Stampin' Dimensional bones, you could just use straight Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to show you that here in a second. And the other option you have are the foam adhesive strips. Do you see these great big nice long strips? This would work well also. Whatever works for you is going to work for me. Now, when we lay these pieces on here, you want to make sure you're catching, well, one, we want to make sure we're kind of centered up in there. And we're going to want to make sure we're catching the frame and our detail. See what I mean? So we want that to be touching the frame and the detail. Let me do that again here on the other side. And I'll tell you what, I'll also, like I said, I wanted to show you how to do this if you were using Stampin' Dimensionals. Oops, those are minis. Where are my, there we go. You could do this with Stampin' Dimensionals as well. In fact, like I want to get one down there in the corner just to make sure that's on there really good. But yeah, you can easily put these, you could use minis too, whatever works. But yeah, we just want to kind of get those on there. Let me get one more. Like I said, I really like to have them in the corners. So I'll just get one right there. So lots of options, right? The bones, the dimensionals, the strips, but we do need that pop on this. I'm going to bring my card in here. And don't let your die cutting machine get too far away from you, because like I said, I've got a trick to share with you on how I did my sentiment using those rectangle dies, because I needed something that was a little more square. So I will nope, I got one more. All right, we're going to take this and we are going to add it to the front of our card. I'm at a bit of an angle, so you guys are going to have to tell me if I got it straight. I think that's good. Give that a press. Now, can you see? Yeah, we got all this great pop going on in here. Well, now let's add a sentiment. And like I said, I'm going to use this little scrap piece, and I'm going to bring in a crumb cake ink pad. And when we stamp this, I'm going to stamp with sympathy, and I'm going to do it over to the left side. Okay, just stamp that over to the left side, because this little cutting trick is pretty amazing. So let me bring my dies back in here, and we're going to take the one that will fit this sentiment. I think it's the second. Yep, the second to the smallest. And you can see that I couldn't get that sentiment to fit in there without looking a little wonky. So we're going to do a little shrinking of our die. And so I'm going to bring in my cutting machine again. And let me show you what I'm going to do. First thing, I'm going to die cut this, and I'm going to center it all up so that my sentiment is kind of lined up here all on the left side. So I'm going to make sure I'm good from top to bottom. We are going to run that through. And you know what? I actually already had one done. So let me just bring in that one for you. So that's what it looks like when it's been die cut. Now to shrink it, you're going to love this, because these might be rectangle dies, but I can make them any shape I want. I'm going to put that die back here on what I just die cut. And those stitches, all I can say is it sort of locks in there. You'll feel it. You'll slide it around and go, oh, yep, it's locked. We're going to set that back on our machine. And when we run this through this end, that's all we want to catch, okay? And if you're not familiar with this, with die cutting, when you feel the pressure, and you'll kind of feel it pop. Did you hear that? Yep, now we can bring it back. So all we did was just kind of cut this little bit. And, well, look, I have that cute little rectangle. Well, I don't know what I'd use it for, but you can see I have now created the perfect sentiment using my rectangle dies. So I didn't have to bring in new dies, or I didn't have to stretch it or do anything crazy with it. So let's bring this back in, and we are going to add our sentiment right here. And, you know, we got a lot of detail going on. I'm going to just use some adhesive, but I don't want to press it down. I'm going to lay it gently. And what I want to do is I kind of want it to only hit just, there we go. I don't want it to touch the actual card base. I'm trying to get it where it would just touch my die cut. Does that make sense? I don't want that to get squished, because that's the beauty of the card. Now we're going to add a little ribbon knot. This is the gold and vanilla ribbon. This was from our mini holiday catalog, but guess what? They're bringing it back, which is a great thing because it's gorgeous and I love this. So I just made a simple little knot, pressed a glue dot onto it, and just like that, in 10 minutes or less, you have a gorgeous sympathy card. Yeah, it's just that easy. I want to share another one with you because it's got some things that are a little bit different. So this one here, I have got some smoky slate, and I have a piece that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And just like before, I have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 of smoky slate and of the vellum cardstock. This one is going to be really, really pretty. But I decided I'd use a different set of dies. So I'm going to use the deckled and, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the deckled. I'm going to use the, what are they called? Fabulous frames. There we go, fabulous frames. And so I've got my fabulous frame here. And that's what I'm going to die cut from the middle of the single piece of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right. Through the magic of television, we're going to pretend that's already been die cut because you've seen me do it. So you know how that happens. And then for my vellum, I'm going to use the potted succulents. Again, just another great, big, gorgeous die. We're going to run this one through as well, just like you've seen me do. And so when we die cut the frame, remember we got a die cut out of it, okay? And that's what we're going to use for a sentiment. We're going to do something a little different there. But here's the thing. So last time I had an additional die that I could cut. Well, you know what? I thought I was just being so smart. And I said, oh, well, I can just cut this frame from the middle of the vellum. No, you can't. It cut it exactly the size of my frame. So can you see what I've done here? I put a little bit of adhesive along my frame and I glued down the edges, some of the flat edges of my vellum. So don't try to use this die to recut your vellum. It doesn't work. Yes, take it from, I thought she was being so smart. My scissors have disappeared. There they are. And guys, to cut this, remember I just put just a little bit of adhesive here. And it's not like I'm cutting off, big, heavy pieces. It's just some, it didn't have to be neat. It's all underneath. No one's going to see it. And so we can just trim away this vellum here. And if any of it is peeking out after I cut, it's easy enough to go in and snip off anything. Like I said, it's not like we've got these great big thick strips of cardstock. So there we go. And let's see, that looks like that tried to tuck out. Yeah, I got just a couple little pieces that I need to snip away. Not a big deal. All right. Can you see? It is very pretty. Now, you know the drill. We can come in with either some of these dimensional strips. Just make sure, like I just did, make sure it's not peeking out of the frame. So I will take another one. And I have got like a million of these pieces. I'm worried that's going to show through, so I'll just snip that away. Oops, don't cut the cardstock, Connie. Hey, so, we're talking about dies, so I have to share this. Several lives ago, I shared with you guys that I had lost a circle die. I have never known such pain of losing a circle die. I searched, I tore through, I pulled trash out of the trash can. I mean, I went crazy trying to figure out where that die went. And someone just last week or week before said, hey, Connie, did you ever find your die? And I had not. Guess what I found? And you are not going to believe where I found it. I'm going to show you. This is how I store my embellishments. And I was pulling out my red rhinestones. And guess what? My die was sitting right in here. Why would a die be back there? I have no idea. But guess what? The lost die has been found. There was much rejoicing in the house. Of course, I've already bought another set because the circle dies are my most used and most loved. Dies, isn't that how it goes? It's always when you go and replace it. That's when the lost items can be found. Okay. Let's see what Peggy is saying. I've watched you for years and I love your cards. Thank you, Peggy. This is the first time I've caught you live. It's 12:22 here in Florida. How nice. I bet it's like nice and warm there. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you were able to join us live. Marcia said, I'm so glad you found your die. I know. Crafters, you get it. the when you've lost a die, it's heartbreaking. It's horrible. All right, I'm going to add my gorgeous vellum.
Connie, did you read your daughter's comment?
What?
Mom, can you come get me from school?
Christina, go back to work. No, Christina, I can't come pick you up from school. You're the teacher. You have to stay. You have to be the adult. Oh, that kid of mine. All right, guys. So remember this piece that we had cut out from our frame. This one we are actually going to use. And in this set, Christina, if you have your kids watching my live today, I'm going to have to hurt you. Her kids love my lives. I don't get it, but all right. So I have got the little oval frame. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to stamp it before I die cut it. And I have to tell you, the pictures that you have in on my website and on your download, I didn't do this technique. It was when I was putting everything together, I thought, why am I doing this? I can create a really great focal image here for my sentiment. So let me show you what this one's going to do, because this one's going to also cut out an interior frame. So we're going to line that up. All right, running this one through. Okay. Jen said, depending on what grade, I can't blame her. She teaches high school drama. And drama is the name of the game in drama. I'm telling you, I love those kids. She's got an amazing group of kids. She really does. But you guys know, no matter where you live, teaching is hard right now. All right, so can you see how it kind of did a nice double cut? I could, if I wanted to, I could just do the with sympathy, and that looks really nice. But I thought, let's go ahead and keep that frame around it. I think that is really, really pretty. And another thing I thought I could do is I could offset it if you wanted to kind of give it a little something. How about we try that? And so what I'm going to do to offset that, and I'm going to do it here with some adhesive. Can you see how I'm getting both the actual die and the oval, trying to get those to stick together? Get some adhesive here and just a little bit on the ends. Let's see what we get. I'm stuck. Okay, we will add this. Remember how we did it before? We only want it to really stick to that vellum if we can. So tap, tap, tap. Perfect. I've got another little ribbon knot, and this one is a little gray granite shimmer ribbon. We'll add that right there. Remember, though, you can always hold off on that if you want to, and add just about anything you want. So there are the two cards I was able to create today. Again, matter of minutes. But you know what? I think I kind of like it peeking out there. Let me see what I did with this one. Yeah, this one, I put it all the way in. I don't know. You guys tell me, which one do you like better? Do you like it offset, or do you like it all centered up? I could have put this in the middle. Like, you know, really, the sentiment can go anywhere. I do have one more card that I created yesterday while playing around, because I told you that you could use a lot of different stamp sets. This is the Artisan Editions. I just thought it was really kind of funky and fun. I added some rhinestones into the circle. And this one, I did use the deckled rectangles. So you got options, lots of options. No sentiment on this one because it is kind of funky and fun. Not sure what I want to do with it yet, so I'm just going to hold on to it. I've got a collection of blank cards that I'm like, not sure what event I'm going to need it for. And guys, this one, I did no different than the other ones. Just die cut my focal image from some Melon Mambo. I used some gorgeous, great designer series paper, and of course, the fabulous Parakeet Party there as my card base. So, right, we are like so ready to go with some cards whenever we need our cards in a hurry. I hope that you guys like those. They are really fun to make. Of course, sympathy cards never fun to send, but they are a card that is a necessity, right? Well, listen, before I close, very important, guys, the Creative 8 Winter Stamp Retreat, online stamp retreat starts tomorrow night. And so time is definitely running out for you to get registered for that. Let me tell you, even if you can't participate live, you're still going to want to be a part of this, because $45 gets you 37 written tutorials. We'll have YouTube lives that you can watch for each of the 9 projects. We've got mystery stamping. If you don't like lives, that's not your thing, not a problem. We have a pre-recorded video for you that's a little more quick and to the point, or another great video that you can go and watch later if you're wanting to recreate the card. I'm telling you, best money or bang for your buck, you know, because so much for $45. We're going to spend the weekend stamping. At the top of every hour, we'll have a new live for you. If you're not familiar with the Creative 8 team, I bet you recognize their names. So Brandy Cox, Sharon Armstrong, Jackie Bolheis, and myself. We make up the Creative 8 team. This will be our 12th online stamp retreat. We started it back when the pandemic started as a way for us all to be together. And it's just kept growing and growing. And guys, you can register for that, or at least read about how to register and all the details over at simplysimplestamping.com. In the blue menu, you're going to see Creative 8 Retreat registrations. Click on it. You can read all about it there and get signed up. Today, we posted all of your tutorials. Everything is all ready to go. The YouTube live links, it's all there. Guys, we would love to have you. It is a fun weekend. If you've been reading any of the comments, I know lots of you during the lives have been, you know, letting everyone know, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So, and it really is. I mean, we all deserve a weekend to stamp for ourselves, right? And, you know, if you want to stretch it out, you could do one video a day and, you know, take 9 days to get through it all. Have some fun with it. It's your retreat your way. I hope that you guys can join us. I think that is all for me. Oh, no. Oh, I got to show you the cards for next week because they are awesome. I am so sorry. I got to show you these. I cannot close before I show you these. We're going to be doing a fun fold. And check this out for you, friends. So if you're looking for Valentine's for the gals, check it out. Oh my gosh. Yes. Mantle worthy, gorgeous. I don't know what this fold is called. I think it's sometimes called like a theater or a curtain. You know, it kind of looks like you're just pulling back the curtains. Isn't that beautiful? Love it. And I do love this stamp set. This is the Love for You stamp set. Oh, it's fantastic. And you know what I love? It's not just for Valentine's Day. Because look at this one. I said, for you, friend, thanks for all you do. So much love. It's a great card for any time. But let me also show you, we got a card for the guys. You know, those masculine Valentines are kind of tough. So much love for you. Happy Valentine's Day. Nobody gets me like you get me. Isn't that sweet? That's going to be a fun one. Don't tell Mr. Awesome because this is his Valentine card. But yeah, and these stand up, really amazing cards. You guys are not going to want to miss next week. And Brenda's going to pop up the link for that one. That will be on January 19th. So be sure to subscribe. Click the subscribe button. That way YouTube can let you know when I'm live. So that makes it easy. And even if you're not live, come on over, watch the replay. We have a lot of fun here on the lives, don't we, Brenda? All right, everybody, have a fantastic day. Go encourage somebody with a card this week. Have some fun creating. See you guys next time. Love it. Bye-bye.